All right, so welcome to another deep dive, everybody. Today, we're going to be looking at this fascinating story from the Bible. Expert speaker. This is the prophet Elijah's run.
That's right.
And we're actually getting all this from this YouTube video that I saw that goes into a bunch of these biblical mysteries and stuff.
Yeah, it's really interesting.
So we are going to be tackling the question. Just how fast did Elijah run? And is there any way he could have outpaced a chariot?
Yeah, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
Right.
And just to kind of set the scene a little bit, remember that Elijah had just totally beaten the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel.
That's right.
And he was running away from King Ahab.
Yeah, he had to get out of there. So I think one of the things that really struck me here was just the sheer distance that Elijah covered.
Yep.
You know, it's estimated that he ran all the way from Mount Carmel to Jezreel.
Oh, wow.
And that's somewhere between 25 and 30 kilometers. That's basically a modern half marathon.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And we're not talking about, some nice flat track.
No. You got to think about the terrain.
Exactly.
It's all irregular and hilly and rocky. It could have been dangerous even.
Absolutely. This was not a leisurely jog in the park.
Not at all. And then you add in the fact that he outran King Ahab's chariot.
Right.
I mean, come on.
It makes you wonder, how is that even possible?
I know.
And it's not just any chariot either. We have to think about the kind of chariot that Ahab would have had.
Okay.
This wasn't just some, rickety old cart.
Yeah.
It would have been drawn by horses specifically bred for speed and stamina.
Right. The best horses in the kingdom.
Probably, yeah.
Wow.
And it could reach speeds of up to 20 or 30 kilometers per hour.
They were probably war horses and everything. They could go forever.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they were trained for these long journeys.
Yeah. Okay, so let's just do the math here. If Elijah was outrunning the chariot, that means he had to be running at least 20 kilometers per hour.
At least.
Probably more. That's like Olympic marathon runner speed.
Yeah, it's insane. Try to imagine running that fast for that long in that kind of terrain. And he's wearing, what, a tunic and sandals?
I know.
It really pushes the boundaries of what we think is humanly possible.
Well, so this is where the Bible steps in and gives us an explanation, right? It says that the hand of the Lord was upon Elijah.
Yeah.
So what does that actually mean in this context?
Well, in the Bible, that phrase is used to signify a visible display of God's power and favor.
So not just God's just watching this all happen.
Right. It's this is God directly intervening.
Okay.
It suggests that Elijah wasn't relying solely on his own strength and stamina. He was being powered by a force that's beyond human capability.
It's picture yourself running and you feel this incredible surge of energy.
Yeah.
Some invisible force is just propelling you forward.
It's God's presence is actually involved in this race.
Wow.
Absolutely. It's not just about the physical speed either.
Yeah.
It's a symbolic act. Think about it. Elijah outrunning this chariot represents God's message prevailing. It's overcoming any obstacle, no matter how powerful or how daunting it might seem.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a visual demonstration that divine power exceeds any human limitations.
And it really does challenge your perceptions because, like you said, most people today couldn't maintain that speed for that long in those conditions.
Absolutely.
Think about it. Even modern marathon runners with all the training and fancy shoes and everything, they still need perfect conditions.
Right. They need the right temperature, the right terrain.
Just everything.
To hit those speeds.
Exactly.
So for Elijah to do what he did,
yeah,
it's extraordinary. It defies our typical understanding of what's possible.
So this was a time when people were kind of straying from God's path a little bit.
Yeah, there was a lot of corruption going on.
So Elijah doing this incredible feat was a way of showing God's power.
Absolutely.
A confirmation that God is real and can do the impossible.
It was a powerful message to the Israelites. It was a wake-up call.
Yeah, hey, remember me. I'm still here.
Exactly.
And that's what's so amazing about this story.
It's a reminder that when God intervenes, the impossible can become possible.
Right.
And that message still resonates today.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder.
It really makes you re-examine your own limitations. Maybe we box ourselves in with what we think is possible.
Yeah.
What if those boundaries are more fluid than we realize?
It's a powerful thought, isn't it? It's this story is inviting us to think about the power of faith.
Yeah.
Like when we align ourselves with a power greater than ourselves, we can overcome obstacles that just seem impossible. And it doesn't have to be physical feats,
Right.
It could be any challenge we face in life.
Yeah, like approaching those challenges with that same radical faith that Elijah had.
Exactly. And, we tend to focus on the outcome of the story, like Elijah beating the chariot. But what about his internal journey?
Yeah, what was going on in his head?
Right. Like, we don't know how he felt in that moment. Was he scared? Did he doubt? Or was he totally certain that God would help him?
The story doesn't really tell us those details.
It doesn't, but you have to imagine the mental and spiritual strength it took.
Oh, for sure.
To run like that, the trust he must have had in God's power.
It must have been incredible.
And that trust, that unwavering belief, that might be the key takeaway here.
Okay.
If we could tap into that same source of strength, that unshakable faith, who knows what we could overcome? It might not be about outrunning chariots, literally.
Right.
But it's about facing our own personal mountains with that same confidence.
So it's less about replicating the physical feat and more about applying that faith to our lives.
Exactly.
Like looking at the obstacles we face and asking, where do I need that same kind of divine intervention?
Yes. Where do we need to step outside our comfort zones and trust in a power beyond ourselves?
This deep dive has really changed my perspective. We started with a guy running, and now we're talking about human potential and faith.
I know, it's amazing, right? And the thing is, we're only scratching the surface.
Yeah.
The Bible is full of stories like this.
Right.
Stories that challenge us, expand our understanding, and point us towards a deeper connection with something bigger than ourselves.
I'm left with this feeling of wonder, this sense of possibility.
Yeah.
Like, what if I tapped into that divine power?
Yeah.
What challenges could I overcome? What seems impossible, but actually isn't?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I encourage all our listeners to ask themselves that. What are the challenges you're facing? The limits you've placed on yourself? What if, with a little faith, a little willingness to step outside your comfort zone, you could do more than you ever thought possible?
It's really eye-opening. We looked at the story of Elijah running, we talked about divine intervention, and what it means for us now.
Absolutely. And what stands out to you most from today?
I think for me, it's that idea that, like, maybe our limitations aren't as fixed as we think.
Yeah.
Like, God can help somebody outrun a chariot, then what else could be possible?
Right.
Like, what huge challenges are we all facing where we could really use that same kind of power?
It's a good point. It really encourages us to look at our own lives with more hope and possibility. Yeah. And to look beyond what we think we know and be open to those breakthroughs we never thought of before.
Yeah, like the story's reminding us that we're not alone in what we're going through.
Yeah.
There's something bigger than us that we can rely on.
Absolutely.
A source of strength that can help us get through tough times.
So it's like a call to action.
Yeah.
To have faith, to trust in things we don't always understand.
Right.
And to believe that with God's help, we can make the impossible happen.
Well, thank you so much for going through this story with me and helping me really understand it.
Of course, it's been a great discussion.
And to everybody listening, thank you for being here with us today.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
We hope this has given you a sense of wonder and a whole lot of possibility.
It was a pleasure exploring this with you both. And remember, this story isn't just something from the past. It's a timeless message about the power of faith and the amazing things we can do when we really believe.